Okay, what if I told you that the elite survival tactics used by the CIA could actually solve your everyday psychological problems? Seriously, in this explainer, we're unpacking some fascinating, declassified insights from former intelligence officer Andrew Bustamante. We're going to see how the exact same strategies used to evade global threats can literally help you outsmart your own brain. Let's dive right in.
To kick things off, imagine you're walking down the street. It's late, you get that creepy feeling someone is tailing you. What is the absolute most critical thing you should be looking out for? You'd probably think, someone acting shady or wearing dark clothes, right? Well, the reality is actually much more specific.
And it's completely counterintuitive. If you turn around and keep seeing the exact same face following you, that is actually a good thing. I know it sounds crazy, but a consistent face means you're dealing with an amateur. It means you can identify them, get a good description, and report them. Professional CIA surveillance, though, totally different ballgame. They're incredibly dangerous precisely because they constantly swap out who is trailing you. See, professional teams stay way, way back. So far back, you're never going to get a good look at their faces. So instead of facial recognition, intelligence agencies rely on a profile. A profile is just how you describe a person's defining characteristics without relying on their face at all. They use this to blend in. And if you want to spot them, you've got to understand how it works.
To really picture a profile, just take a second and think about how you would describe your dad to a total stranger without mentioning his face. You'd probably talk about his height, his build, maybe a signature haircut or his clothes. You might say, hey, he's a big guy, 6'2", wears baggy clothes, and never takes off his cowboy boots. That right there, that's a profile. When you're being professionally tailed, you have to identify the threat based entirely on those exact details.
But here is where it becomes a genuine nightmare. Professional surveillance teams know exactly how to change their profile on the fly. If those profiles keep shifting, like a thick jacket gets swapped out for a thin one, a ball cap disappears, sunglasses go on and then suddenly off, you should be terrified. You literally can't report it. I mean, think about it. You'd sound completely unhinged telling the police that a big guy in the dark was following you. It's funny in the movies, but in real life, absolutely no one is going to take you seriously. Okay, but these survival skills aren't just for back alleys. They apply directly to surviving internal threats too, like the crippling fear of failure. To really grasp this, we have to look at the CIA itself. The CIA only takes on the missions that the military, the FBI, and the NSA have already failed on. They are literally the agency of last resort. And because they are the absolute last resort, tackling the impossible, get this, a staggering 90% of CIA operations fail. 90%. Let that sink in for a second. The most elite intelligence agency on the planet is quite literally built to fail. Accept it and learn from it. They have to forgive themselves instantly just to keep moving forward. So what this tells us is that society has handed us a completely fake scorecard for human worth. We're programmed from day one to fear failure, right? We're branded with these rigid metrics like a GPA. You either get a 4.0 or you're a failure. But our baseline human nature, it absolutely relies on failure. How did we learn to walk? We fell down. How do we learn to ride a bike? We skinned our knees. Failure is the feature, not the bug. When Andrew Bustamante, the former intelligence officer we're talking about, went through his CIA field training, he actually failed his final panel interview. And his first reaction? Total ego. He vigorously defended himself. But the CIA-approved method is remarkably simple, and it requires leaving your ego at the door. You shut up, you acknowledge the error, and you promise to learn from it. The people who pass aren't perfect. They're just the ones who don't let their ego force an argument. Now, Bustamante felt like a massive failure at the time. He admits he just went through the motions at a desk job for 3 solid years. But actually, scratch that, it wasn't a failure. It was a secret blessing. Washing out of the traditional track freed him from the bureaucratic rat race. That exact failure positioned him to become a huge asset in high-stakes global terrorist operations, eventually leading him straight into the elite shadow cell. His absolute greatest success started right from his biggest failure. But before you can stumble into that kind of unexpected success, you have to survive the slippery slope of self-sabotage. And here is one of the most fascinating psychological insights from all of this. When we self-sabotage, our brains are just inventing a fictional story. It's not logical at all. It is a purely creative endeavor. Think about it. When we tell ourselves a story, like, Oh, my boss definitely hates me, or the bank is never going to approve this loan. We are letting our fast, emotional right brain completely hijack our objective left brain. We literally choose to live in this creative state of paranoia instead of grounding ourselves in logical facts. Bustamante actually tested out this right brain paranoia firsthand at a music festival. So this 20-something girl recognizes him from YouTube and proceeds to talk to him for like an hour every single day of the festival. And his highly trained intelligence officer brain, it goes into an absolute panic. He's spinning this story wondering, wait, is this young girl flirting with me? I'm a 45-year-old married guy. How do I even handle this? His brain was just rapidly inventing a totally stressful, dramatic narrative. So, to shut down the self-sabotage, he forced his left brain to step in and look for objective evidence. He laid out the actual facts. If she were genuinely flirting, he would objectively see things like smiling, touching, hair flipping, maybe a flirtatious outfit. And when he actively looked for those specific facts, he saw absolutely none of them. Plus, he literally watched her flirt with other people. The facts proved she was just networking. That whole creative story his brain invented was just completely false. If you ever find yourself in one of those ridiculous mental spirals, like being convinced your house is going to burn down because you might have left the toaster plugged in, use this exact 3-step procedure to pump the brakes on your right brain. Step 1, label it out loud. Literally say, I am spiraling, I'm getting emotional. Because if you don't name it, you feed it. Step 2, ground yourself in the objective facts. And step 3, actively shift your attention away from the emotion and right onto those facts. Okay, so once you finally stop self-sabotaging and spinning those fake narratives, you are ready for the CIA's ultimate performance secret. Momentum replaces motivation. The CIA teaches that every single person has a natural talent, and when you finally tap into it, you don't need ambition. You don't need to force yourself to be driven, because that natural alignment creates this automatic, unstoppable momentum. If you're following along and thinking, man, I just feel totally stuck, it might be because your energy is being completely drained by the wrong things. Forcing yourself to wake up at 6 a.m., grinding through a boring 9 to 5, doing your taxes, you aren't a failure for hating that stuff. You just haven't found your personal source of momentum yet, and you're burning all your energy fighting against your natural wiring. And your natural talent could literally be anything: fitness, painting, training dogs. What absolutely blew my mind was learning that even traits we associate with criminals, like being effortlessly charming, lying, or convincing people to join a cause, are actually highly effective, natural, creative endeavors. When people lean into what they're naturally good at, it builds massive momentum. It's so effortless they don't even realize they're working. We live in a world that vastly overvalues logical STEM fields, science, tech, engineering, math. But logic doesn't create momentum. Nobody builds momentum just by solving 7 math problems in a row. It's the pride you feel after mastering those problems and the excitement to tackle the next one. That excitement, that pride, that is pure right brain creative energy. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to think about this. Look past your perceived failures. Stop letting your ego run the show and quiet those completely fictional stories your brain keeps spinning. Ask yourself, what creative endeavor comes effortlessly to you? And how can you use that exact thing to build unstoppable momentum starting today?